Welcome to the return of the student athlete interview series. Before we start, just a bit of background on what the purpose of the series is. We are all about centering student athletes and giving them a chance to get their voice heard and get their stories out there. So I am C, one of the interns for this summer, and I will be doing this series along with my co-intern Ari, and we will get today's guest Lexy in here. Hey,
Hi.
welcome. Before I get started with my questions, you just want to introduce yourself.
Lexy Endres. I'm from Medford, New Jersey, which is in the southern part of the state, and I play for Temple women's soccer.
That's so cool. So, just to get started, how did you get into playing soccer? Like when? What about what age did you start?
I would say probably around the age 4 or 5. I had like little tot soccer in my hometown, so I always play that. I grew up playing that with my twin sister.
Oh, someone just asked what position you play. I'm sorry.
Well, usually like an outside mid, but this year I guess attacking center.
Got you. And did you play any other sports growing up, or was soccer your main focus?
Yeah, growing up I played lacrosse and basketball, but I decided to just stick with soccer because I love most out of all of them.
And like, did any were there any specific like professional players that inspired you or that fired that spark when you were younger?
Probably Tobin Heath because I liked how like technical she was, and I grew up in PDA, and she was from PDA North, so we all kind of look up.
Got you. Tobin Heath's a great, great person to reference. And like growing up and playing soccer, what made you want to go from playing more recreationally to playing in college and taking that next level step?
Probably because I'm a very competitive person, so kind of like taking it to the next level is just I enjoy competition, and like the highest level in college is definitely very competitive, and that's what I love about it.
What was that decision like for you making that decision to play in college versus the traditional college experience?
For me, it wasn't very difficult because soccer has kind of always been the main thing in my life because I enjoy it so much. So I wouldn't say it was that hard decision to decide that I wanted to play in college.
And what was that recruitment process for you about like when did that start?
Well, freshman year, I started to get recruited a little bit. Then it kind of died off, but by like junior or senior year, I was getting a lot of looks, so I didn't really commit until later than most people.
By junior, senior, got you. And what was that like for you, like being in high school and getting those offers and like having to navigate that confusing process?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely challenging. I didn't know what school I wanted to go to for a while. I didn't want to go in a city. I was very anti-city schools, but I ended up in Philly, and I've loved every moment of it.
What was so special about Temple that made you want to go against that anti-city school this idea?
I think it was like a change of culture, and the fact that the city's so lively and it's a pretty well-known school and with good athletics. And when I went on my visit, I just really enjoyed the facilities, how nice the dorms were.
How did the culture of the team itself and the coaches play into that?
Well, I was actually recruited by a different coach than we have now, but Coach Nick now, I love him. I think he's a great guy on and off the field, and he just really wants like the best for us.
Got you. And if you like looking back on the way you approached the recruitment process when you were in high school and when these decisions were first coming up, do you think you would do anything differently or?
Probably not worry so much about like how early you're committing and more focus on like that I like the school and it has the right academics for me.
Got you. And what is it? I mean, obviously, this year has been very hard for anyone, especially going into your first year and having to play. What has that been like for you? Like navigating this pandemic type of rookie season while also maintaining school and everything else that was happening in the long.
It was definitely challenging. We had a lot of restrictions and having to get tested multiple times a week and just kind of like always watch surroundings because you don't want to be exposed to the wrong people.
Got you. What was that like? Like the traveling and stuff with Temple's team. Like, how do you think the pandemic like affected what you thought your rookie year would be like?
I mean, it definitely affected it in the aspect of we didn't really get to play a lot of out conference games or as many games as we probably would have if it was a normal year. But we still got to travel, luckily, so I'm grateful for that.
That's true, and even not being able to play as many games as you typically would, you were named to the AAC All Rookie Team, which is insane, and definitely a big feat in general, but especially in a year like this, which is absolutely incredible. And I know you've mentioned before that there were like very specific games this year that really stood out to you. Could you tell us about some of those?
Yeah, I would definitely say I think our most exciting win was probably our win in Tulsa because it was just a very gritty and kind of game, like very intense. Like a lot of girls were getting heated, but we managed to pull out the win, especially since it was an away win, and that was like a must win for us if we were gonna have a chance of making the playoffs.
And like, what do you think? If you could think of like one thing that was going through your mind when that game was going on, and like you knew, like for sure that you guys had it in the bag, like what were you thinking?
I would just probably say like keeping my composure. Like it was hard coming in freshman, especially in like big time moments. Like I just tried to stay calm and like expected and not get out of hand.
And like on that idea of keeping composure, what's like what would you say to like an incoming like freshman coming into their first year? Like what would your biggest piece of advice be?
Yeah, I would say definitely you have to be confident, but just make sure like you're respecting the upper class, you're respecting everyone, but make sure you have the confidence because if you lack confidence, it's going to be a really hard transition.
Got you. And like with that in mind, like what do you think the hardest part about being a student athlete for you has been so far?
I would say the hardest part is balancing the schoolwork and then the soccer aspect is you have to work well in advance, especially if you're traveling because we would have games Thursday, Sunday, and a lot of assignments would be due Friday night when we're traveling home. That was definitely difficult, but we all managed.
Right, right. And if you could give one suggestion to people who are going into the recruiting process right now, what would you say to them?
Definitely don't focus on like a certain division. I would definitely like make sure you like really study school, like the academics, the area. You get to the school and for some reason you're not playing for freshman year, you're not going to enjoy it as much as if you picked a school that you truly liked.
Got you. And is there anything else that you want to bring to the table to say?
Um, I guess to watch our next fall season at Temple.
Yes, of course, of course. We will definitely promote everything you guys have going on. A really interesting team down there with a lot of great players. So thank you so much for coming on and talking with us today. Really appreciate you for doing this, and we hope that anyone who's seeing this make sure to check you out and the rest of Temple's team out, and really tune in to what you guys are doing because it's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much.